you that want a very, very comfortable motorway cruiser, then the Audi A5 could be on your list. But is it any good, and is it better than the competition, for example, I don't know, like a Mercedes C-Class or an E-Class? Well, I've been living with this car for the past week and it's got some surprising things on it. Let's talk about it. Now, I don't think people realise how important this car is for Audi, because the A4 is no more and the A5 also needed an update. So the fact that this car was replacing two models, they needed to tick a lot of boxes. Now, as I've always said on Audi reviews, if you remove the badge, does it still look like an Audi? And for sure, their design language echoes across the whole car. So yes, for sure, they've still got the Audi design nailed down to a point. They've introduced some new lights, which I should add, so they've added some OLED tech into them as well. And of course, they still do have the swooping, famous Audi lights at the rear. But they've also added a light bar, which normally you only find on electric cars, although I haven't reviewed any electric Audis to date. But interesting to see they've put it on their internal combustion engines. Now, interestingly, the car that I have here actually has standard specification. Apart from the fact that it has S-Line, I'll touch on the trims in just a second, the only optional thing is the paint, which is Ascari blue metallic, which I should add is actually quite expensive. It's £1,500 for this blue. Maybe I shouldn't touch it. Yeah, really expensive, because normally metallic paints on most manufacturers are around £700-800, which most of them are, to be fair, on Audi. Maybe it's because it's almost like sparkly in the sunlight. But yes, I have a standard Audi here, apart from also the S-Line. So there are different trims in Audi. There's Sport, S-Line, and then Edition 1 as well, which really does push the price up, although I've got to say it does look pretty good. Oh yes, and one thing I wanted to touch on with the handles. The handles are very, very different on this car, because a lot of car manufacturers these days have to prioritise aerodynamics and that sort of thing, so it cuts through the air, improves range on electric cars and improves fuel efficiency, all that sort of stuff. You can see here on the front, there's like, I can literally see through the car because of the cutouts to help make it as streamlined as possible. Now, a lot of car manufacturers have done this like pop in and pop out handle stuff, but what Audi have done here is added almost like some sort of touch sensor thing underneath, so when you put your hand in here and just pull ever so slightly, it releases, just like this, and you can actually hear it when you press it. But door test, still sounds like an Audi. Now, when it comes to dimensions, I'll explain those in just a second, but just from personal experience this week, I will say this car does feel on the larger side, width and length. And I've got a feeling that could be because the A4, of course, is no more, and Audi, of course, leaned into the A5 size of things. But here's the dimensions. Length is 4,835mm, width without the mirrors 1860, and with the mirrors 2099, and height 1461. So yeah, it is up there just slightly, so just something to factor in, of course, if you have a garage or a tight parking space that you might need to park this one in. Oh yes, and just before I forget, the on-the-road price of the A5 without S-Line or anything like that is 42,660. Of course, the one I have here is S-Line, as I mentioned, and then has that special paint, so it's around about 46,000. But one thing I should also add as well, Audi do still do the estate version, or what they call the Avant version. That's around 45,000, so just a few £1,000s off the base price. Now, when it comes to the boot capacity, one thing I'll add here is the way the boot opens actually surprised me. This opens like a hatchback, which is very, very similar to, for example, the Volkswagen ID.7. They have that hatch going up at the back, which again surprised me, so I thought it was going to be like a saloon. The reason much like this, easy to get things in and out. It's very, very seamless. 445 litres, as you see here, and if you fold the seats down, you can do 40-20-40 split as shown here. 1,300 litres, or 1,299 if you're going to be completely accurate. Just bear in mind that the boot capacity is reduced significantly if you go for the Quattro version, which is, of course, Audi's four-wheel drive system. It actually goes down to, well, almost 400 litres, so just bear in mind that if you do put lots of things in the back, the Quattro does eat into that space quite a bit. There is underfloor storage, although there kind of isn't. There's a section underneath, but yeah, you can't really put that much under there. Oh, and All electric. We like that. Cool. Let's have a look at those rear seats. Now guys, the one thing that you must factor in if you're considering an A5 is the rear seats, because I've had that set up for my driving position for the past week and been very, very comfortable, awesome to drive. We'll touch on more about that in a minute. But look how thick they are. I can barely get my hand around the side of it. And as nice as they are to sit in, of course, up front, because they're so thick, it eats into that legroom in the rear. And scratchy plastic on the back, like not great plastic. Plastics can be forgiven in the rear, but because they're directly on the back of the seat here like this, if the seat is too far back, your knees are crushing nasty plastic, which doesn't feel great. I mean, it is okay. Headroom seems to be okay as well. It does slope down quite a bit here as well, so the rear passenger experience isn't amazing, but of course depends how many times you're going to have people in the rear. I will add this transmission tunnel here is rather large as well, and the centre console does come back quite a bit as well, so the rear passenger might not have the best experience either. A few more things for the rear. We've got 2 USB-C ports here, which is good. Vents to control, and it looks like there's touch control elements to adjust the temperature in the rear as well, so that'll be tri-zone climate control, and then cup holders here as well. God, that clunks into position. See, that's what I mean. You get, it's not so wobbly. It means your drinks aren't going to spill, which is a positive, I guess. Now guys, up front, Audi have completely overhauled their design on the inside. It just looks so different. For starts, let's do build quality first, because nothing's really changed from that from Audi's point of view. Very nice leather everywhere here, all squidgy materials, which is what we want. Nice sounding doors when they close, and very few plastics around. You get more plastics in the rear and like down at the bottom here, but everywhere up here, very premium materials. There's a bit of plastic on the glove box down there, but you can't see that, so that's fine. The only thing I don't like about the interior here is this high gloss piano black plasticky stuff. It's everywhere in here. It's fine, but the problem is it's more for a durability point of view, because it shows scratches to no end and fingerprints and things like that, and that's one of the reasons why I always carry one of these when I review cars. But I'm constantly having to wipe this and clean it just to keep it clean and make it look good. And the problem is, because it's up here as well, like right in your eye line, I would have preferred that to have been something else, but it wouldn't put me off buying the car. I would just have to be uber careful on the inside. But yes, we'll do a quick tour of the inside, and then we'll go through the multimedia system, and then we'll get this out on the road and explain exactly what this is like to drive, because it's pretty good. So in here we have a little bit of space. Got my cable in there at the moment, and you can adjust this to different heights if you wish. 2 cup holders there, gear selector there, start stop button, hazards, volume, next track, previous track, 2 USB-C ports there, and wireless charging there, and a 12-volt socket. So all pretty standard stuff really. Vent control down here, again, no really harsh plastics or anything, so all good. And glove box, yeah, that's pretty standard size, just coated in plastic on the front, but yeah, looks good. Oh yes, there is a hidden compartment over here as well, which actually you could put a few things in there. You could put sunglasses or something hidden in there or something, or cleaning cloth. So okay, let's turn our attention to the multimedia system, because this is also different. So yes, this is what the multimedia system looks like on Audi now. So complete overhaul compared to the ones I've reviewed recently. I've done the A1 and the A3. This is the sort of split screen going down the middle here, and then these quick access things over here for all of your other apps. Traditional things, of course, you can connect up Apple CarPlay or Android Auto if you wish. I've got a cable for that here, but it can do it wirelessly. But then tapping on a relevant app, for example like navigation, it will come up on here full screen. Now if you want to do the split screen, just press home again, and then it will take you back to that sort of split screen. But when it comes to the responsiveness, I found the multimedia system to be a little bit more responsive than the previous ones. So like in the A1 and the A3, they were good, but this one does just seem to have a slight edge. It just seems to be a little bit more snappier, which, to be fair, is kind of what you want when you're driving around, so you don't have to wait for the system to catch up with you. But yeah, just simple type in things on the screen, and oh, I can't spell. It's figured it out though. So yeah, even if you can't type,
Now turn right.
it'll figure it out. But yeah, this is actually running Google Maps, so that's really good. Google are renowned for their satellite mapping, so yeah, no complaints on that. A little bit easier to mute and unmute now. There's a mute symbol up here, which is how I personally prefer to have it. And then you can finish and cancel it all up there. So rather than having to go 2 or 3 clicks on the previous one, it's now just 1 click, so much easier. But yeah, radio, nice and fluid. I don't know if they've changed the refresh rate of the screen or something, but it just seems to be so much more snappier. Look at that. That's, yeah, it wasn't like that before. And of course, there's Bluetooth in there as well if you needed to connect your phone via Bluetooth. But as I said, there's CarPlay and Android Auto, which I know a lot of people use anyway. But yes, there's an abundance of settings in here if you want to change them, from the displays to the lights to the voice assistant in here. Speaking of, I've actually turned her off just because I usually say the A word a few times. You can see there, I'll highlight it on the screen. But yes, apparently this is now connected to ChatGPT, so a large language model which can basically just do general knowledge of things. So, I don't know, let's put it to the test. Hey Audi.
Hi. How can I help you?
What's the weather going to be today?
The temperature in Bournemouth will be between 8 and 16 degrees Celsius today. There is a low risk that it will rain lightly in the afternoon.
I mean, there wasn't a schedule for rain this afternoon when I checked, but okay. Hey Audi.
What can I help you with?
What's the best car out there?
I think you're driving it right now.
Yeah, I knew that was going to be a response to that question. So I'll tell you what, let's take this out on the road and I'll give my thoughts if it's any good or not. Okay, so where this car actually shines the most is when you're on motorway cruises, national speed limit roads, dual carriageways, that sort of thing. But I just wanted to show an example here because this road is not the best. And you'll see it's uber smooth and very quiet as well. So we'll just get up to speed and it just irons out all the perforations in the road, minus the speed bumps. So even when the road conditions are not great, it's smooth. It's wonderful. The noisiest thing actually is my coat rusting against the the seatbelt. But yeah, it just irons out all the bumps. I really, really like it. But yes, even at higher speeds, what we're doing, 35 at the moment, still so refined in here. Now, actually, over this past week, I actually had to go to Germany. There's a video that I posted about 2 or 3 weeks ago where I was invited out to go see how some cars are made by another car manufacturer. Sadly, it wasn't Audi, but I actually took this car up on that airport run. So, yes, I literally drove to London Heathrow, and do you know one thing that I wasn't looking forward to about that trip was my flight back. And my flight back was like one of the last ones that evening, and it was like 9:55 landing or something, or 10 something. And by the time you're out of security, I was going to be at like 10:30 and had to drive 2 hours back home. I wasn't looking forward to that drive. But boy, was I glad I had this car. Oh, it was so nice. The fact that you can just sit there and it'll just eat up the miles and just, as we just sort of just smooth out all the bumps, what a car to do it in. That's what this car is designed to do, just eat up those motorway miles. Don't get me wrong, I have a Mercedes A-Class as a daily car, and that's a hatchback. It's nowhere near as smooth as this. Obviously the price reflects that, and it would have been fine in that car, but this was the car to do it in. Yeah, it was brilliant. That was an ultimate test. Now, of course, Audi do have a few different types of engines available on this one, so I'm going to put them all up on screen here. Now, the one that I have here is their standard version, so that's this one right here. It's a 2 litre with about 150 PS and a 0 to 60 of 9.8 seconds. Now, if I'm honest, I find this one just a little bit sluggish in some areas. Now, of course, the engines I showed you on screen there were just for the A5. There is also the S5 as well. This does push the price up quite significantly, but then, of course, the performance does reflect that as well. That would be one I would like to have a look at. There's also the estate version of that one as well, but these starts from about £71,000, so yeah, the price does go up quite a bit for those. One thing to note with all the engines, there are no manuals. They're all automatic, which of course is a good thing. I'm all for automatics on new cars. It's just they're a lot more efficient. They can change gear quicker. And yeah, when you're spending all that money, why would you want manual? But I do appreciate some people still to this day even like manual, so I thought I'd just point it out, they are only automatic. Now Audi do have, of course, their different drive modes, so that's their drive select down here. In this one we have individual, dynamic, comfort and efficiency. So dynamic will just increase the throttle response somewhat, and of course just give you a bit more of a boost. Quite useful if you're going to do something like this. And eventually we get to 60. Because yeah, that's what I mean. I would just like this car to have a little bit more power, considering its size, but it's okay. I personally just want a little bit more power. But as I said, comfortable wise, it's wonderful. You know, we're at 60 here at the moment now, and it just glides across the road. You don't get much wind noise either as well, considering the size of the car. It's just a lovely motorway cruiser. It's quite big for parking around town and stuff in car parking spaces, but to sit there and just eat up the miles, yeah. But yes, the other thing to point out as well is Audi's steering wheel. They have had buttons for years, and now they've gone touch. Sort of. It's touch and buttons in one. So these are actually backlit, these buttons on the steering wheel. And the reason why they're touch is because I have probably about 6 or 7 times this week accidentally increased the volume because it's just a flat surface on the volume control. Rather annoying, not going to lie, but I guess Audi have joined the train now of touch buttons, so yeah, just Audi, please put buttons back on the steering wheel. Wouldn't put me off buying the car, just worth noting, try it out and test drive and see how you get on. They are physical clicky buttons, which is nice, but the top layer is also touch at the same time, so you can accidentally swipe it if your hand does swipe that area of the steering wheel. Just worth noting. And then to summarise, let's jump into the pros and cons. So, I've already mentioned it already on the drive, ultimate cruiser for sure. I would say the ride quality on this is very similar to the Mercedes-Benz E-Class. Not quite Mercedes S-Class. Mercedes S-Class is their flagship luxury car, so that's very, very expensive. It doesn't quite touch that, but nevertheless, it's very, very smooth in here. So, as I said, you can just eat up the motorway miles for sure. And then multimedia system. Yes, climate control is all touch along the bottom, but a lot of car manufacturers do that these days anyway. But just how responsive this multimedia system is, I really like it. It's just very graphical as well. There's different views you can have on the screen, split screen. It's great. It kind of reminds me of what Apple CarPlay is with the dual display down the middle. So yeah, what is not to love? And then of course, build quality. The build quality everywhere in Audis is renowned for being good. And yes, it's no different in this car. Leather materials everywhere. The only annoying thing is, of course, there's high gloss black here. So if you can look past that, then we can still tick that box for the build quality of the Audi. And then we get on to the cons, and these are of course things that you should consider if you're thinking about buying an Audi A5. And the first thing, of course, was the rear seats. It wasn't an amazing experience for the rear passengers in the back, especially with how thick these seats are. Brilliant experience up front. So if you only have people in the back every now and again, fine. But if you have people in the back all the time or you're doing lots of trips, then yeah, just something to consider. The other con I'll probably say is, unfortunately, Audi, I'm going to have to say it, it's your touch steering wheel now. You had buttons before, and now you put touch on the steering wheel. But yeah, it wouldn't put me off buying the car. I have, as I mentioned, a Mercedes A-Class. That is all touch with no buttons at all. So I am used to it, and you just have to have your hand in a slightly different position. So yeah, it wouldn't put me off buying a car. I'm just pointing out for the review because some people just are anti-touch on the steering wheel, which I have to agree with them somewhat, hence why it's in this review. And then the final con, I struggled for the other one just because all round this is quite a nice package. So the thing I selected for the third con was this engine. I personally would just pay the extra 2,000-ish pounds and just go for the one with over 200 PS. That's personally what I would do if I was looking at this car anyway. But yes guys, there we go. That concludes this week's review on the Audi A5. Let me know your thoughts down below. Would you consider one of these cars? But thank you so much for watching. Until next time, see you then.